Peace, y'all, and welcome back to another tea time. You already know the vibes. It's your girl Divine Destiny, back with another one. This tea time is more gonna be a story time than like a tea time conversation. Spirit put on my heart to share a story with you. So if you are here under the sound of my voice at this moment, then I am 1000% sure there's something in this story, in this message, in this tea time for you. You're exactly where you need to be. So get comfy, grab your tea, grab your water, grab your vibes, whatever it is you need to vibe with me today in our story time. Let's get it. So a few years ago, I'd say 3-4 years ago, I used to caretake for my grandma. She was in her 90s. It was like her later years in life where she was almost getting to the end there. And I had the pleasure, the honor, and the absolute blessing to caretake for her. And even though like caretaking for elderly, okay, if you do that, honestly, bless your heart, because that is not for the faint of heart, for real. But I do appreciate and I am so grateful for the moments that I got to spend with her before she left Earthside, right? The story that Spirit has me channeling on today to share with you is, it was like when I first started caretaking for her, and I was so excited to start caretaking for her so that I could pick her brain and just talk about the things that she doesn't get to talk about often, talk about the things people don't ask her about, get to know her life. You know what I'm saying? This is my grandma. She's 90. She's had years of experience. I haven't got the chance to ask her anything. So I was so excited. I had a list of questions that I was ready to ask, right? Here we go. First day. I'm like, oh, yay. So excited to start this conversation. And I was like, Grandma, how old were you when you got married to Grandpa? And she was like 16 and he was like 21. Mind you, this like the 20s, so it was like legal or whatever back then. And I said, okay. I already didn't like how I felt about that because she was 16. But I was just like, okay, did you love him? Her response, y'all, broke my little heart. She said, I don't think I know what love is today. I still don't think I know what love is. And my whole little just world shattered in that moment, because I was like, well, if this is the matriarch of my family, we all came from her, and she doesn't know what love is, then what is it that she passed on to her children, who then pass it on to my generation of children? You know what I'm saying? So in my head, it just spun immediately, and that's all I could think of. Well, if she's the matriarch and she was the head of the love that was passed down, and she still doesn't know what love is, then do I know what love is? Am I having an existential crisis right here talking to my grandmother? Probably. Am I okay? Probably not, okay? I stopped asking questions, I'll tell you that. I was like, I clearly don't want to know the answer to it. Question session over. Now I'm sitting here, mind boggled in my own brain. Move past that. I'm still sitting on it like a week later. And so I start asking the other maternal figures within my family, whom I will not name because they still with us Earthstein. I ain't gonna put their business out there, right? But I was talking to other maternal figures within my family, and I was just like, so I was having this conversation with Grandma. XYZ told him a story, right? And then I was like, so what about you? Can you tell me, like, because you've been married for a long time. Do you, like, what's love? I didn't even know how to formulate the question anymore, because what? So, like, do you and did you love your husband when you married him? Do you love him now? What is? I almost said, girl, I feel like I'm out here. This is real. We having a moment, okay? Because it was very real for me. And the answers that I got from the maternal figures were even more horrifying than the one I got from my grandma. And one was like, along the lines of, they've been together so long, they just deal with each other because where's she gonna go? So that's not love. The other ones were, I don't even want to get to it, as horrifying. Oh, you get the sense of it, right? And they were all just not answers that I wanted to hear. They were not the answers I was looking for, and I don't know what the hell I was looking for, but I didn't get what I was looking for, but I got what I needed, apparently. And in that, I was like, okay, so I internally decided to sit with it myself, because I had already talked to the maternal figures in my family, and clearly they were not about to define love for me, right? They didn't even know what love was for themselves, for real. And to hear people say that out loud, people who are, one, supposed to love you, okay, and two, who passed down idea of love to you. It was really shocking to me. So past the shock factor, I had to sit with myself, did a lot of journaling, meditating, recalibrating for real. And I came to the conclusion, well, I'm just going to have to learn how to define love for myself and redefine what that looks like. And then when I looked back on all of my friendships, family ship, kinship energy, I was like, you know what? Now that I'm viewing things from this standpoint of, do I even know what the fuck love is? No. Okay, once I answered that question for me, it made so much sense and it shined so much light on the relationships that I had in my life. It shines so much light on why I accepted certain things from those people, those energies, those relationships, in the name of, oh, this is love. Like, they say they love me, so this must be love. Because I didn't know what the fuck love was. On top of, we're getting so deep, you guys. On top of just my own need and desire for love in my life as a young woman, you know what I'm saying? We're diving into it. We're really getting deep. Okay, you guys, we're here. This is the best friend circle right now, okay? Thank you for just holding space and being here. Let me just say that. As a young woman, I had both of my parents in my household. However, I feel as though I was lacking that emotional receptivity, acceptance, right? Emotionally, I didn't feel like I was seen, valued, or honored. My emotions were not. So like that energy, I felt like I was constantly, as a young woman, I'd say between the ages of like 19 to 29, okay? Whew, hard decade, okay? Hard decade, you guys. I would say that I was looking for that emotional stability, that emotional vulnerability, availability, that emotional acceptance that I didn't receive in my family life, in my partners, right? And so in the beginning of those relationships, right? When you first get into a relationship, of course, that person is going to seem interested and like accepting because they want parts of you, right? And then once they got those parts, and especially for me as a young woman who didn't necessarily know what love was, and it felt like love was very transactional, right? Even growing up, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, you had to do good things, right? You had to achieve to a certain level or succeed to a certain level or be a grade in certain areas to like receive those accolades or receive that support that I was looking for. It was very transactional. I had to do something to receive the love I was looking for. So as a young woman, that energy was not unfamiliar to me, and it translated in a lot of situations to me giving of myself energetically, me giving of myself overgiving. Let me clarify. Me overgiving of myself energetically, me overgiving of myself mentally, me overgiving of myself emotionally, spiritually, and especially sexually. And it almost felt like that sexual transaction had to occur for me to receive the love that I was looking for. As I said, okay, hard decade. It took me a very long time to unlearn that energy, because transactional, even in my family when I was younger, obviously I wasn't giving of myself sexually, but I felt like I had to overgive, I had to show up, I had to do all of these things, I had to be very performative. That's what I'm looking for. I had to be performative to receive the love, to receive the accolades, to receive what I was looking for and needing and buying for emotionally, right? So then that translated when I moved into relationships, even friendships. It's not even just like sexual partners, even my friendships. I was always the one overgiving, overcompensating, overcompromising myself, my boundaries, my energy, just so that I could keep people around. Here we go, diving in even deeper into Destiny's life. But it also stemmed from a space of abandonment, right? So I had my own abandonment wound. So not only was I trying to get people to feed into me emotionally by overgiving of myself, I was overgiving and overcompromising and allowing people to overstep my boundaries because I didn't want to be left. I didn't want to feel that abandonment again, even though it happens every time, again and again and again. Or if it didn't, I ran because I didn't want to feel that abandonment. Once I saw the cycle and saw the pattern, I was like, all right, I gotta get the F up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Which in a lot of cases when I did that, I probably saved myself from a lot of heartache and a lot of hurt. But nonetheless, your girl went through a lot of heartache and a lot of hurt, regardless, whether I was doing it to myself or I was allowing someone the proximity and the space to do it to me. I'm gonna sip on that one. So it was like after, so let's say 19 and 29, that's 10 years. 4 years ago, I was caretaking for my grandmother, which would have made me between 25, 26. So 19 to 25, baby, she was lost in the sauce. It was everything. With all my relationships were transactional, my friendships, my partnerships, work, co-worker, everything. Right? Even at work, I was overgiving of myself. I didn't even have boundaries in the workspace because I just, honey, baby, okay, younger me, I love you. And if you're going through this, if this story resonates with you, if any part of this is reflecting any part of you, do not beat yourself up about it, okay? Because we have to, what I learned after having that conversation with my grandmother after 25 is that I had to unlearn all of the bullshit that I learned in relationships and love and partnerships to relearn what it is that I really deserve and desire in love, in relationships and partnerships and friendships and workships and all the ships. Every boat gotta be acting right these days. Before the boats was rocking and your girl was, we was rough seas. Now we smooth sailing, but that's neither here nor there. After 25 is when I was conscious in I need to unlearn all this shit. I need to redefine love for myself. I need to figure out what love looks like, what love doesn't look like. And let me tell you something. Okay? Once I came to that realization, that's when shit really hit the fan, because it was almost like now I was consciously tuned into the fact that I had to dismantle the idea of relationships as a whole for myself, while still searching for that love, for that emotional connection that I wasn't receiving. Whew, baby, I ended up attracting those relationships that I needed really to do the work that I was trying to do for myself. And the one thing that I promised my grandmother when we had that conversation, I ended the conversation by saying, I am going to find out what love really is and what it feels like. I will be redefining love for myself, for not just for myself, okay, for this lineage girl, for you, for me, for all the other maternal figures up in here who's just hanging on because y'all been together. Listen, I said, I'm gonna be the one who breaks this cycle. Baby, was it a heavy cycle to break? Baby, was it a heavy cycle to break? Did I go through a lot of shit in relationships? Even after 25, I would say in the beginning, it was just unconsciously going through this cycle. By 25, after I had that conversation with my grandmother, it was like I'm consciously stepping into these cycles now. So I'm attracting partners who are reflecting the parts of love that I needed to unlearn, because that's what I told spirit and the universe and myself that I wanted to do. But I didn't know that was, I always do that to myself. I always be like, I'm gonna do this. Y'all saw it glow up with me. Y'all saw it. If you've been here for a minute, y'all saw it. I do it to myself all the time. I say, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And then I say these things and I speak them into existence, not knowing the lessons that are gonna come behind that. So when you say stuff, baby, be careful. But it'd be worth it on the other side. But the going through it, it's above me, y'all. So I was attracting partnerships and relationships, friendships even, that were specifically tailored to the things in love, the concepts in love, the ideas in love. Excuse me, my stomach is growling. Oh my God, that I needed to unlearn. right? So the cycles, the patterns, the mindset, the energies were all coming toward me full-fledged in relationships and partnerships, specifically so that I could recognize the reflection of it, accept it for what it is, and then learn how to maneuver differently, right? Learn how to say that, you know what, this cycle is not for me. This is exactly the love that I do not deserve. This is exactly the love that I do not desire. And then one thing I could say, the spirit sent me all kind of examples of love that I did not desire, because you can't know what you want till you know what you don't want. And I'm not gonna say that's true for everybody. That's true for me. I am stubborn. I am hard-headed. Your girl don't get the lesson the first time all the time. We're working on that now. But your girl didn't get the lesson the first time. A lot of the times, especially in love, because it was so much on within myself, emotionally and mentally, in relation to relationships, familyships, kinships, co-workerships, right? So there was so much baggage that I had to unpack, even to just get to the place to say, I don't deserve this. I don't desire this. This is not the kind of love for me. So your girl went through several cycles, several relationships that ended. Anywho, if you've been here, you know how some of them relationships ended. And I'm thankful that they ended and that I'm here, because I could not be here. I could not be this person, but I am, because I chose to go through those cycles. I went through those relationships and I chose to release and unlearn the things that I didn't want, the things I don't desire, the things I don't deserve, with grace and love and patience and compassion for myself, for my situation, for the experience, for the circumstance, and for the person who was put in my life to reflect those things. Do you feel me? So now I'm on the other side of it, but in the internal of it all, your girl was struggling, stressed in love, and I really had to go through some very tumultuous situations to really pick up on, you know what, I don't have to sit here. I don't have to overcompensate. I don't have to overcompromise. I don't need to allow people to overstep my boundaries to be loved. And if I do have to do that to be loved, then this is not the kind of love that I deserve and or desire. So if I have to sit here and be by myself and learn how to pour that love that I deserve and desire into myself, and that's exactly what the fuck I'm gonna do. And that's what I did. I stepped away from, I'm not saying that you should just go ahead and cut everybody out of your life. I'm saying it worked for me. And I didn't cut everybody out. I still have the support system. I still have loved ones. You feel me? I still have friends. But the circle, real tight. Real tight. And I'm not allowing, I've set my boundaries. And that's really what it was. It was like, once I decided I'm not overstepping, I'm not allowing people to overstep, I'm not over compromising, I'm not over giving of myself, I'm setting this boundary. If I'm over giving, if my cup poureth over in any way, it overfloweth from me and me only. Anybody else can get the residual love that's flowing off of me. And to be honest, it's a beautiful and peaceful place to be. But I will tell you, setting your boundaries is exactly, it's not that I was purposely cutting people out of my life, though there are definitely people who I was like, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? But it was just more so that once I decided within myself that I have to stop over compromising, over compensating, over giving for what the people that I wanted to love me were not doing. It was like I was pouring in what they weren't pouring in, hoping that eventually they would match me, but they were gonna be take what I was giving, because why wouldn't they? If someone is overflowing with unconditional love and is over giving of that, a lot of people are going to take that. They're gonna receive that love. It feels good to be in the light and the love of another person. And that cup overfloweth for you, and you can sit here and do the bare minimum because you know that they don't want you to leave. They'll accept the bare minimum because at the end of the day, their abandonment issues, even if you're not good for them, don't want you to leave because they don't want to be left. They don't want to be alone. They want to feel loved. So you gonna stay there and pretend or do the bare minimum, whatever it is you could give, and they're gonna receive that. I was receiving that. I was there for a long time until I finally said, nah, this ain't it. And once I started pulling my overcompensation back, once I started pulling my overcompromising back, my energy back, my love back, my light back. I started pulling that back into myself, pouring it back into myself. And then on top of that, setting boundaries with people. You can't overstep no more. Hey, because I seen you doing it before and I just let it slide because I wanted you here. But now I want better for myself. I want love that loves me. I want the love that wants me. Not the love that wants the love that I pour out without giving love back. I started setting those boundaries, people started to fall off on their own. I didn't have to cut people off because there were people in my life who appreciated the fact that I didn't have those boundaries, that they could overstep, that I could overgive and they could over receive without having to do too much. People got used to me being the martyr. People got used to me being the overgiver, the oversharer, the overlover. Till I was like, nah, this is not my definition of love. So if I'm going to redefine my definition of love, I have to do something different. So when I started switching up, when I started doing things for myself, pouring back into myself, pulling my energy, my time, my effort, my love, my light off of the people who were overstepping those boundaries, off of the people who were receiving and not reciprocating. Once I started doing that, I started to see a shift. And I promise you start pulling your energy back and just pouring it into yourself, you're going to notice a shift, one, within yourself, but two, within the people around you. And this is what you need to pay attention to. Are the people around you accepting of you pouring into yourself? Or are the people around you now getting irritated because they're not receiving what they're used to receiving from you? And not past that, now you set boundaries and you standing on business about those boundaries. So now not only are they not getting what they are used to receiving from you, they can't even overstep to pull it out of you. Bruh, that's where they all went. They all went to the graveyard of undesirable love. For me personally, I no longer desire a love where I have to overgive of myself without receiving reciprocal energy. I no longer desire a love where I have to overgive in any way, shape, or form. I desire a love that receives the overflow that pours from me because my love pours over because I'm filled with it. And if you can't give that to me, I'm pulling my energy back. And if that's a problem for you, I'm gonna need you to go have that problem over there, because that's just not my problem. It was really hard to do. It was really hard to release family, friends, people I've known for years, people I've known since I was young. But at the end of the day, the reality of it was that these people were taking advantage of the love that I had to give without fully even desiring to give love to me. That level of acceptance, that level of understanding, while it was hurtful, I needed it. I needed my little feelings to be hurt for a minute. And then I poured back into myself, got my feelings together, and now here I am. Boundaries fully intact. Love for myself fully intact. And now no one can come to me without being full of a love for themselves first. Because that's the problem. That was the problem. I was attracting people who didn't even fully love themselves, who weren't capable of fully loving themselves. So how are they going to love me? That was what was being reflected to me, because I wasn't fully loving myself. If I was fully loving myself, I wouldn't have been overgiving. I wouldn't have been overcompensating. I wouldn't have been allowing people to overstep my boundaries. So once I decided to pull my love, the overshare, the overpour of love that I was giving to other people into myself, I truly started to radiate the love that I deserve for myself within myself to myself. And that's when everything shifted. The entire timeline shifted for me in love and relationships, because now any reflection that comes to me, you first have to be pouring that same love within yourself to yourself and be overflowing with love for yourself. And that overflow pours onto the people you love, because you're capable of that much love. Heavy on the energy of people can only love you as much as they love themselves. And that's a hill that I will die on, because people can only love you as much as they love themselves. Even if, like in my case, I didn't have the abundant love that I had for myself, right? So with that being said, while I was overpouring and overgiving in love for people, it was still the love that I needed to pour into myself, right? So even though it wasn't like oh, I can only meet you halfway with love and I can't give you an abundance of love, it was the love that I was pouring into people with the love I was supposed to be pouring into myself. So they couldn't even receive that level of love, that aspect of love, that energy, that vibration of love, because it wasn't for them. It was for me. And until I understood that and really accepted and honored that fully, I was on that 10-year cycle, that 10-year wheel of terrible, tragic, and tedious relationships of people who were willing to receive and not reciprocate. I don't know who needed to hear this. And I don't know why Spirit had me share this. But clearly, 30-30 on my timer, somebody needed to hear it. If you like this video, share it with somebody you love, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. If you need anything from me, it's in the description box below. And until next time, stay divine. Peace.